He saw it coming. For years, he begged people to listen. Nobody wanted to hear it. On the morning of September 11, 2001, Rick Rescorla stood in the South Tower of the World Trade Center with a bullhorn, singing Cornish folk songs to keep terrified people calm as he led them down the stairs to safety. He had trained them for this exact moment. He had rehearsed it, argued for it, and refused to stop insisting on it even when his own company's employees complained that the drills were unnecessary and disruptive and embarrassing. He had been right about everything, and he died making sure it mattered. Richard Rescorla was born in Cornwall, England in 1939, and he had spent his life in places where the difference between preparation and death was measured in seconds. He had served in the British Army in Cyprus. He had fought as a U.S. Army officer in Vietnam. There is a famous photograph of him at Ia Drang, 1965, young and fearless, a bayonet fixed, leading his men into one of the most ferocious battles of the war. He had been decorated. He had survived. He had come home with the particular kind of knowledge that only combat produces. The knowledge that the world will hurt you in ways you didn't anticipate unless you anticipate them first. He became head of security for Dean Witter, later Morgan Stanley, at the World Trade Center in the early 1990s, and almost immediately he identified a problem. In 1990, working with a counterterrorism expert named Fred McBee, Rescorla wrote a detailed security assessment of the World Trade Center. The report warned that the complex was vulnerable to a vehicle bomb detonated in the underground parking garage. He recommended specific countermeasures. The Port Authority of New York, which managed the building, reviewed the assessment and declined to act on most of his recommendations. In February of 1993, a truck bomb exploded in the underground parking garage of the World Trade Center. 6 people were killed. More than 1,000 were injured. It was exactly what Rescorla had predicted. He did not say he told them so. He updated his threat assessment. In the years after 1993, Rescorla became increasingly focused on the possibility of an airborne attack on the towers, a plane used as a weapon against the building itself. He shared this assessment with his supervisors at Morgan Stanley and with anyone in the security community who would listen. He pushed the company to move its offices out of the World Trade Center entirely, arguing that the buildings remained a high-value target and that the next attack would be worse. Morgan Stanley's lease kept them in the building, but he could control what he could control. He ran evacuation drills every 3 months without exception. He walked the floors, he timed the stairwells, he learned the building the way a soldier learns terrain, every exit, every bottleneck, every variable that would matter when speed and calm were the difference between living and dying. His employees complained. The drills were annoying, they disrupted work, they were embarrassing, grown professionals in business clothes being marched down emergency stairwells by a man with a bullhorn singing old Cornish songs. He kept running them. On the morning of September 11, 2001, the first plane hit the North Tower at 8:46 a.m. The Port Authority immediately broadcast an announcement over the building's PA system. Remain at your desks, the building is secure, do not attempt to evacuate. Rick Rescorla picked up his bullhorn and began evacuating 2,700 people. He ignored the Port Authority's announcement completely. He had already decided, years earlier, that in the event of an emergency, he would trust his own assessment over any official instruction to stay put. He moved through the floors of Morgan Stanley's offices. The company occupied 22 floors of the South Tower, directing people to the stairwells, keeping the movement steady, keeping people calm with the same combination of authority and dark humor and those incongruous Cornish folk songs that had characterized every drill for the past 8 years. At 9:03 a.m., the second plane hit the South Tower. The building shook. People panicked. Rescorla kept moving, kept talking, kept singing. The drills had done their work. People knew what to do and where to go because they had done it dozens of times in conditions that, while not identical to this, had given them the muscle memory of orderly movement under instruction. He was last seen on the 10th floor, heading upward, looking for anyone who had not yet come down. Of the 2,700 Morgan Stanley employees who were in the South Tower that morning, all but 13 made it out alive. The 13 who died were members of the security team, including Rescorla, who had stayed behind to find stragglers. His wife, Susan, spoke to him by phone during the evacuation. He told her not to cry. He told her he had never felt better in his life. He told her that if anything happened to him, she should know that she had made his life. The South Tower collapsed at 9:59 a.m. Rick Rescorla was 62 years old. He had survived Vietnam, Cyprus, and 3 decades of security work in one of the most complex environments in the world. He died exactly where he had always expected to die, in the middle of the work, moving toward the people who needed him, doing the thing he had spent years preparing for. He had predicted the attack. He had trained for it. He had saved everyone he was responsible for saving. And then he went back up. That is who he was. That was always who he was. The man who ran toward the thing everyone else was running from, because he had spent a lifetime making sure that when the moment came, he would be ready for it. He was ready. He went up. He did not come back down. The building came down instead, and 2,700 people were alive to watch it fall.